The federal government of the United States is the national government of the United States. A federal republic in North America, composed of 50 states, a federal district, 5 major self-governing territories and several island possessions. The federal government is composed of 3 distinct branches: legislative, executive, and judicial, whose powers are vested by the U.S. Constitution in the Congress, the President and the federal courts, respectively. The powers and duties of these branches are further defined by acts of Congress, including the creation of executive departments and courts inferior to the Supreme Court. The full name of the Republic is United States of America. No other name appears in the Constitution, and this is the name that appears on money, in treaties, and in legal cases to which it is a party. The terms, Government of the United States of America, or United States Government, are often used in official documents to represent the federal government as distinct from the states collectively. In casual conversation or writing, the term, federal government, is often used, and the term, national government, is sometimes used. The terms, federal, and national, in government agency or program names generally indicate affiliation with the federal government. Because the seat of government is in Washington, D.C., Washington is commonly used as a metonym for the federal government. The United States government is based on the principles of federalism and republicanism, in which power is shared between the federal government and state governments. The interpretation and execution of these principles, including what powers the federal government should have and how those powers can be exercised, have been debated ever since the adoption of the Constitution. Some make a case for expansive federal powers while others argue for a more limited role for the central government in relation to individuals, the states, or other recognized entities. Since the American Civil War, the powers of the federal government have generally expanded greatly, although there have been periods since that time of legislative branch dominance or when states' rights proponents have succeeded in limiting federal power through legislative action, executive prerogative, or by a constitutional interpretation by the courts. One of the theoretical pillars of the U.S. Constitution is the idea of checks and balances among the powers and responsibilities of the 3 branches of American government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. For example, while the legislative branch has the power to create law, the executive branch under the president can veto any legislation, an act which, in turn, can be overridden by Congress. The president nominates judges to the nation's highest judiciary authority, the Supreme Court, but those nominees must be approved by Congress. The Supreme Court, in turn, can invalidate unconstitutional laws passed by the Congress. These and other examples are examined in more detail in the text below. The United States Congress, under Article 1 of the Constitution, is the legislative branch of the federal government. It is bicameral, comprising the House of Representatives and the Senate. The House currently consists of 435 voting members, each of whom represents a congressional district. The number of representatives each state has in the House is based on each state's population as determined in the most recent United States Census. All 435 representatives serve a 2-year term. Each state receives a minimum of 1 representative in the House. In order to be elected as a representative, an individual must be at least 25 years of age, must have been a U.S. citizen for at least 7 years, and must live in the state that they represent. There is no limit on the number of terms a representative may serve. In addition to the 435 voting members, there are 6 non-voting members, consisting of 5 delegates and 1 resident commissioner. There is 1 delegate each from the District of Columbia, Guam, the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and the resident commissioner from Puerto Rico. In contrast, the Senate is made up of 2 senators from each state. Regardless of population, there are currently 100 senators, who each serve 6-year terms. Approximately 1/3 of the Senate stands for election every 2 years. The House and Senate each have particular exclusive powers. For example, the Senate must approve U.S. military and naval officers and ambassadors to foreign countries. All legislative bills for raising revenue must originate in the House of Representatives. The approval of both chambers is required to pass all legislation, which then may only become law by being signed by the President. The powers of Congress are limited to those enumerated in the Constitution. All other powers are reserved to the states and the people. Th.